Back at KOTESOL 2011 International Conference, talking to Tim Harnett. Just met Tim. Before we get into some of your creative works, can you tell us what you're doing here? How long you've been in Korea? What's the day job?
I'm currently living in Daejeon. I've been in Korea a little over a year. I was in Daegu before that, and I'm a book designer. So I do writing, editing, design, and layout for a publishing company that does curriculum, content, and children's book publishing.
And how long have you been in Korea?
A little over a year.
And how did you get into that so quickly?
I have a master's degree in book publishing from Portland State University back in the U.S.
A master's degree in book publishing?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had those kinds of master's degrees.
I'd say it's a very specialized program. Portland State has had the master's program about 7 years now, and they've graduated over 100 graduates with this terminal degree. It was initially started by a gentleman who ran his own publishing studio, and he was the head of the publishing department for the last 7 years, and he's now taken on a merit scholarship, like a Rhodes Fellowship, to set up the same kind of program in Europe.
All right.
Yeah, it's a very successful program.
And did you just finish that before you came to Korea? Or?
In between, I was in the Peace Corps. I worked in the Philippines for 2 years teaching English to in a rural high school setting.
So you get a master's degree in book publishing.
Yep.
2 years in the Peace Corps.
Yep. And then come to Korea.
And you get this book publishing gig pretty early on.
I spent a year. The year I spent in Daegu was writing content for a hagwon, a company called Moonkong Foreign Language Academy, where they hire foreigners to write content for their books that they use in-house. Wow. And did that for a year, and that led me to this publishing job in Daejeon.
So tell us about the books that you're publishing.
Well, the books that I'm publishing now are children's books. I have one if you want to take a look at it. I talk about this. This is a sample of a book that we're doing with children's illustrations, and so the work that I do is font choice and design and layout.
And you actually have the kids do the illustrations?
We've hired an illustrator to do this.
I was going to say that's a very talented kid.
No, we have an illustrator who has a bachelor's degree, a BFA, who does the illustrations. So I do the things, making the picture, making the type look really pretty. This particular font is specifically designed for pre-readers and people who are not used to reading at all. It's called Andika. It is an open source font. If you're familiar with the font Gentium, which was a font specifically designed with every single diacritical mark ever, so it works. That particular font works very well as an international. For international books, and the same company designed Andika specifically for young readers, non-readers, and because the letter forms are very easy to differentiate.
Well, I have a side question on fonts, because I spend a lot of time making banners and stuff, and I look at my list of fonts, and I'm fontly challenged. I don't know what's a great font.
Ask the expert.
For web stuff, especially, what are your favorite fonts?
I'm a big fan of script fonts. There's a particular font I like called Alexa, which is a very not quite italic, but has a very definite slant to it. You might notice this particular cover font here. This is called Cooper, which you might notice as the cover of every single Garfield book ever. Which I chose that completely on accident. It was just a serif font that looked really nice, and it ended up being, somebody else pointed that out to me, that all the Garfield books from the 1970s and 1980s use this same font.
Now, did you mention that you write the books also?
I do not write these books. I write in my spare time, of which I have none. I write novels about relationships and kind of how men mess them up. And so I have 2 novels that are available on Amazon as Kindle ebooks.
Let's get the titles out there.
They are French titles. So one of the book I wrote in 2007 is called Trompe l'Oeil, TROMPEL''OEIL. Second book I just published last year is called Rev, R-E-V-E. It's French for dream. And yeah, those are available. If anybody has an Amazon Kindle, you can go type in my name, Tim Harnett, and either trompe l'oeil or Rev, and it brings you right up.
All right. Do you have a website or anything?
I do not. Yet. In my spare time, of which I have none, I will, eventually come up with my own website. Yeah, so far, if you go to the Amazon site and searching for my name, you might also come up with a webcomic, which I write and edit, called Chefs in Black. It's the story of two chefs who travel the world in search of mythological creatures to cook. And so those webcomics are available at chefsinblack.com. And we're in the process of putting together the first year of that book, 13 issues and one kind of graphic novel that should come out later this year.
Sounds like you've definitely got some creative juices flowing.
I like to keep busy. Shark. If you sharks stop moving, they die. So a lot of stuff going on.
To keep moving.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, I know you have a session to go to.
I'm very interested to see the next session. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Great.
Thanks
talking
very
to you.
much. Same goes.